Data collection. Welcome participants to part 7 of Module 3, Impact Assessment. In this module, we will provide a comprehensive explanation of how to do data collection for your project. There are 3 main learning objectives in this part of the module. 1. To define the key terms within data collection. 2. To explain the importance of these tools for assessing the impact of your project. And 3. To provide you with examples to clarify the meanings of these terms. Data collection. After having gone through stages 1 and 2 of the Impact Plus tool, we will now detail the third stage, which is exploring potential sources of data. Collecting data can help inform your project and make the decision-making process easier for you. Data collection is the study of the type of data which is collected in a project, as well as how this data is collected. This includes the type of data that you're collecting, the sources from which you collect the data, the method you use to collect the data, and how the data is afterwards used within your project. It is important when collecting data that these different aspects are considered to avoid getting misleading results. Qualitative data collection. Qualitative data collection is the collection of data with a qualitative character to inform your project. Qualitative types of data refer to either text or content-heavy sources, which can be different types of articles. It can be interviews. You could also look at speeches, book chapters, and so on and so on. The most common characteristics of qualitative sources is that they are used to get specific details to a project, which can then be used as an example to make predictions on more general or systemic structures or tendencies. In other words, qualitative data provides you with a microscopic viewpoint which can help provide details for more broader and more general tendencies. Interviews. An interview is a helpful tool which is often used to get qualitative data for a project. Persons or groups who are involved in a project or are stakeholders or affected by the project are asked a series of questions with the intention of informing the implementation or evaluation phases or the progress of the project. There are different types of interviews. One of them is the structured interview, where all the questions are determined and fixed before the interview starts. This means that the questions which are asked can only have a limited number of answers. This makes them very easy to compare with other interviews afterwards. Another example is semi-structured interviews, where the questions are often a mix between fixed or closed questions and open-ended questions. The advantages of a semi-structured interview is that you can steer the conversation in a specific direction, but at the same time you can still encourage discussion on the topic area. Finally, there are unstructured interviews where all the questions included into the interview are open-ended. The advantage of this is that it encourages discussion and the interviewee gets to influence the conversation a lot. This could potentially uncover some unknown details which is not known to the project so far, but could be very important to the project. Unstructured interviews are usually used for what is called panel interviews, where you interview a group instead of individuals. Interview guide. An interview guide is a document made before the interview which includes the different questions, the categories of these questions, and a short explanation of why you're asking these questions. These three categories are usually set up in a grid or table for an easy overview. The interview guide can be used as an overview for the order of the questions to help the interviewee maintain structure during the interview. When asking questions in an interview, it is important to avoid asking questions with double meaning or questions which assume something about the interviewee. Here are some examples to help guide you. A question with double meaning could be, do you like coffee and do you use milk in it? If the interviewee answers yes, it is unclear which question was answered, whether they like coffee or take milk in their coffee. A question which assumes something about the interviewee could be, does your coffee have milk in it? This assumes that the interviewee is drinking coffee, which may not be the case. Both types of questions should therefore be avoided. Quantitative data collection. Quantitative data collection is the collection of data which is quantitative in character. Quantitative data is often number or measurement heavy sources such as graphs, statistics, tables, polls, etc. The common characteristic of quantitative sources is that they are used to get broad and generalized information on a project, which can be used to give an overview of either systemic structures or different types of tendencies. In other words, quantitative data provides you with a macroscopic viewpoint to help identify more general issues or tendencies. It can also help you with identifying the extent of the problem which your project aims to improve. Statistics. Statistics are quantitative data and are often presented in tables or graphs. They are large collections of sets of data which inform the project of the proportions between two different aspects of a project. An example of this could be the relationship between people with low income and people with low levels of literacy. By collecting numbers and measurements, statistics can be used to show how many people with low income also have low levels of literacy. However, it should be noted that this is a very simplified example, as statistics often consider multiple aspects simultaneously to ensure that they do not influence the result. When using existing statistics, it is therefore important to investigate how the data has been collected, as it is easily manipulated to show false results. This can be done by investigating the author's bias. This will be gone through later in this part of the module. If you aim to collect your own raw data for your project, we therefore advise you to ensure that this part of the project is handled by a data expert. Mixed method data collection. Mixed method data collection is a combination of qualitative and quantitative data collection. Mixed method data collection is often the most ideal as it informs both about larger systemic structures surrounding your project, such as culture, politics, or history, but at the same time can also inform you of specific details which are specific to each location involved in the project. The sources for mixed method data collection could therefore be a combination of qualitative and quantitative sources, such as articles and statistics or interviews and polls. Finally, mixed method data collection can also be a single method, such as surveys, which can be both qualitative and quantitative or a mix between these two in character. Surveys. Surveys are a type of data collection where a questionnaire is sent out to and answered by a group of people. Surveys are often mixed method. This means that the survey can provide both qualitative and detailed information on the project, but at the same time, these details and answers can also be compared and used to point out larger systemic tendencies, which are more quantitative in character. Surveys can therefore be viewed as a form of structured interview, where the group which is asked about these questions often have predetermined answers to choose from. Bias. Bias is the preconceived assumptions about either a certain topic, a group of people, a company, an industry, a type of government, an organization, and so on, which someone working on a project might have. When collecting data, it is important to investigate both your own and other people's biases, as these often influence your data. This means that the focus of a study or the results of your project will be influenced by the opinions and beliefs of the people who did the investigation. Therefore, be very careful using statistics from groups or organizations who, for example, have strong political beliefs or very narrow points of view. The best way to account for a bias is to investigate it and include it in a small paragraph in your project, similarly to how you would include a disclaimer.